Wandern lieb ich für mein Leben, lebe eben wie ich kann. Wollt ich mir doch Mühe geben, passt es mir doch gar nicht an.
Dear Diary, I've had the most annoying encounter with a pest that has left me feeling both confused and disgusted. I was rudely awakened from my 12-hour nap by a high-pitched noise. Bzzz. I felt a piercing pain in my abdomen. There was now a gaping red patch on my stomach that began to itch profusely. Yum, 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 said a voice. I looked up only to see a most hideous creature. Your blood is most satisfying. Very tasty, it said. This repulsive creature had managed to infiltrate my cell by breaking the insect mesh in my window. My eyes hurt from looking at something so ugly such as yourself, I growled. The insect paid no heed to my insult. But yet I've still managed to eat a mighty fine meal from your blood. I was now feeling severe pangs of hunger and was desperate for nourishment. My vision began to get very blurry. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a most delicious red apple sitting in my cell. I wouldn't eat that if I were you, the repugnant creature warned. Shut up, you filthy mosquito! Who are you to give me advice? I shouted. I greedily bit into the apple only to feel a most putrid, slimy sensation in my mouth. I spat it out in disgust. To my disappointment, the apple was not only rotten, but it was completely covered by filthy maggots. Having lost such a large quantity of blood obviously made me hallucinate into believing that this beautiful apple was actually edible. You should have listened to me, laughed the mosquito. I can be your friend and offer you guidance. All you have to do is open your heart and take my friendship. Friend, I scoffed. Why would you want to be my friend? Anastasia does not have or need any friends. Oh, but I adore you, cooed the repugnant insect. As I stared at the mosquito's grotesque antenna, I started to get lost in my thoughts. After living so many years void of human contact, perhaps having a friend is not a bad way to live. Plus, how often do I, Anastasia, get befriended? And after enduring the spit of my enemies for so long, this creature's friendly gesture was a refreshing change. The insect had attacked me again. Your blood is one of a kind, cooed the ugly mosquito. My skin began to feel insanely itchy. I felt more sharp pains of hunger. Appearing before me was a succulent steak. I wouldn't eat that if I were you, warned the mosquito. Overcome by insatiable hunger, I sunk my teeth into the steak. I then felt horrible pain. I had broken 3 of my teeth. You should not chomp on steel bars, shouted the insect. I blinked and looked again. I had obviously hallucinated into believing that the bars of my cell was a stick of juicy steak. Oh, but I'm so hungry, I said. Look at me. I've lost pints of blood. I'm covered with red marks. I'm exhausted. I'm slowly dying. All because of you. I murmured. Oh, Anastasia, darling, coaxed the mosquito. But your blood is so rich. I'm honored to savor the blood from such an exquisite creature such as yourself. Exquisite, I murmured. I like that. Now I could no longer stand on my feet, for I was too faint. I fell to the floor. What can I do to feel better? I implored. Oh, darling Anastasia, do you see that can of gasoline in your cell? The mosquito asked. Yes, I can see it, I replied. Go ahead and inhale it. You'll no longer feel weak, said the insect. As I inhaled the fumes of gasoline, I began to feel rejuvenated, strong, and alive. And so months went by. My friend the mosquito would drink my delicious blood, and I would heal myself with the aromatic fumes of gasoline. One day, despite my continued weakening vision, I couldn't help but notice how incredibly fat the mosquito had gotten. Oh, my darling mosquito, before me, what kind of meals have you had? I asked. I've always had delicious meals, it replied. Oh, but let me hear what you have eaten, I hungrily begged. Well, I've had the blood of that tramp in the cell above you. Do you mean that hideous creature covered with boils? I asked. Yes, that tramp was most delicious, the mosquito boasted. Then for several years I feasted on the excrement of rats. But I thought mosquitoes only drink blood, I asked. Oh no, it replied. I'm an open-minded mosquito, and I am drawn to the excrement of rats. It's so delicious, just like your blood. At this point, I felt my body go numb with the exception of my heart, which was throbbing uncontrollably. And then I feasted on worms. Those are very tasty as well, the mosquito continued in a most arrogant fashion. Does this mean, then, that my blood is no better than the excrement of rats? No better than hideous tramp with boils? No better than a meal of maggots? I shouted. My blood was starting to boil. I can't help what I like, answered the insect. I prefer to eat a variety of foods. It's just a preference. That's all. The mosquito's answer threw me into a fit of rage. Preference. A preference. My divine blood is on the same level with the lowest matter that can possibly exist. You've tricked me into getting a free meal. Give me back my blood, I shouted. I cannot, said the mosquito as it patted its large stomach. Give it back now. If you don't, I'm going to slap you. Do you hear? I threatened. No, my darling Anastasia, you cannot do that, for then you would have no friend, it craftily said. I paused for a second. Was my sole existence to serve the purpose of being the meal of the hideous insect? Could it be that was the only friend that I could get? If that's the case, then I'd rather have no friend at all. I'd be quite content with that. Die, you filthy insect! Die! I screamed as I slammed its obese body against the wall. it shouted. Why, Anastasia? You and I both know that I'm the only one in the world capable of being in your company. Capable? I said. Capable is not good enough. I shouted and slapped the fat creature against the wall. This time its fat belly split open and blood trickled down the walls of my cell. Red walls. It's definitely a change from dull gray walls. I then breathed a sign of relief. Even if now I have no friend at all, at least I can keep the rest of my precious blood all to myself. Anastasia.
Draußen in die Seiten reiß ich, weiß nicht, wo ich abends ruh. Manche Schöne macht wohl Augen, meinet, ich gefiel ihr sehr, wenn ich nur was wollte taugen, so ein armer Lump nicht mehr.